Pastor Doug, why don't you tell our viewers the whole story?
Well, we can go back about 2.5 years ago, and we were in a warehouse building for our church, and the city required us to really to move because we had to put in $100,000, which we were not going to do. And we ended up at the park and prayed and prayed, and that God would provide our own standalone building. And we prayed and we waited, and within about 2 months, I got a text from another pastor. As we looked around, there was nothing available, and he said, this building across the street from his church building is available. And the people that were there, that church is gone. And it was an opportunity for us. I went ahead and contacted the owners of the building, and I prayed, God, open this door if you want us to be there, or close it if you don't. And the building owner said, I will meet with you on Monday. And it was one of those opportunities. God opened a door that we could go in and blessed us with the church building more than we could ever ask or imagine.
There was another event in your life when your wife was stricken with a blood disorder. Can you tell me about that? Were you angry with God?
It was 1992, and my wife was about to deliver our twin boys. And during the time that she went through her delivery, and she was bleeding after in recovery, and I realized there might be something wrong. I asked the nurse, and they sent me out, and they came back and said that they thought it was an issue with that needed surgery. Well, they did the surgery, and then came back and after hours and hours and said it wasn't in need of surgery. Her blood had lost all its clotting factors, and she basically was bleeding out. She had developed adult respiratory distress syndrome, and her kidneys were failing. So I went to see her. The critical care doctor told me that there are 13 IV pumps hooked up to her. And after days and days and procedures, nothing would work. And they never gave her any hope that she would survive. And they went ahead and brought the babies in once before she went in for a surgery to try to stop the bleeding. And then about 6 days later, after the initial delivery of the babies, the doctors came to me and they said, we really can't explain this. Debbie's gone through 166 units of blood. She's drained the Tri-County Blood Bank, but her blood's now clotting, her kidneys are functioning, and her lungs are clear. And it was a situation where I had, throughout this process, had this complete peace. There was all this prayer going on at the same time, and I just had this sense of reality of God, that He was real, and that that's something I'd prayed before. God, you are real. If you're real, show yourself to me. And He did in this way, in a mighty way.
But now, 24 years later, your wife has stage 4 leukemia. Do you expect another miracle, or do you give up?
Oh, no, don't give up. There's no giving up. There's complete trust and assurance in our gracious, loving God that He has her in His hands. And she's going through treatment, and we're seeing positive things. But again, it's a continual process of daily trusting the Lord that He's going to take care of her.
What advice do you have for others in this kind of difficult situation?
This is a defining moment for people. This is the time when people have to realize, or not realize, that there is a true and living God that loves them and has come into them personally, that wants to establish a relationship with them through Jesus Christ. And that's the reality of it. And that's when these situations come, it's when the back is against the wall, where you're going to either give up or you're going to turn to a true and living God that wants to bless them and take care of them and get them through this. He'll never give us more than we can handle. He'll always provide the way of escape if we trust in Him.
Can you explain in non-churchy words what the gospel means?
The gospel is a churchy word, and it really means good news. And that's what we have, that God has given us. And we understand there is a God. Most people believe there is something there, something beyond ourselves, a God. And what God has done is, it's not a religion is where so often we try to try to reach God. And as I describe it, we have a pier here in our city, Ventura, somebody trying to reach God, like somebody trying to run on the pier and jump over to the islands offshore about 20 miles, you'll get about this far away from the pier. You will not make it. But God has established, He has given us a bridge. He has given us a way to have a relationship with Him where we don't have to run to Him. He has come to us. And that is through His Son, Jesus Christ. God coming in the flesh to us to save us, to create an opportunity for us to have a relationship with a true and living God that is without any defect. He's perfect, but we're not perfect. So we need that way to become close in the sense of the term is rightness. And that rightness only comes through God Himself providing Himself to die for us so that we don't have to die. That's really what the gospel is. That's the good news. And then because of His death and His resurrection, He rose from the dead. And all we're asked to do is believe. And He promises He will forgive. He's already died for us. All we need to do is receive that gift, the gift that God has for us of having that ultimate, eternal, perfect relationship with true and living God.